DOTE.
Welcome to the top tip about how to solve any problems you might have with importing media using the Media Manager in Dolt. What we see here, we have the Lego demo project open with this is the free version of the Jeffersonian transcript. And you'll see here we have two active videos. Could be an audio source as we see at the bottom. And in the free version, if you don't have the pro version, you won't be able to add any more than just two. So we have two here. And what happens when you import these, you can add files. Then what should happen when you close is it should have generated this waveform. And here you see a waveform. If I just jump around inside here, you'll see we see different videos. If I play, then what we can see is the waveform is being tracked. The waveform is changing as we switch to a new camera because we are following here the waveform select. We're following the primary video. This is the primary video. Whenever this changes, the waveform will change. We can actually set it to follow a particular camera. So all that's well and good, and we've set all this up so it works. But sometimes you'll find when you try to add or import media into your project, a new project, that it will fail. And there's different things you can do to try and solve that. So what we'll do is create a new project and then try to add a media which is actually going to fail, and then see what we can do to solve that. So if I go to new project, we'll give it a name, just test, transcript name main, and we'll put it here in my DOTE project. So if I just create that, we'll get a completely new blank project with a blank transcript, no media. And if we open Media Manager, there's nothing there. So we've got a brand new project. What we can do is add a file here. And what DOTE should do, it has an inbuilt waveform generator, but it's not perfect. We can't build in what's called FFmpeg or other open source software because of the commercial license that we have for DOTE Pro. So that's not allowed, and we'd have to have completely open source code. So we're not willing to do that, and so we can have our own built-in waveform generator, but it doesn't work on every file. So what we're going to do is see when it does go wrong and what we can do to solve it. So if I say add file, I choose this file here. It's an MP4 file, and say open. It's imported it. It's a 2D. It's very, very small. It's actually just a quick screen grab of DOTE in action. So if we add that file, if we close now, what we should see is a waveform is generated. The video is there. Sometimes the video isn't there even. You can't play the video. And here you see cannot generate a waveform for this file. And nor can it do it down here in the video queue waveform. So that's a problem if you want to see a nice waveform here. So there's different solutions to that. One thing is if I go to File and Settings and go to the very bottom, you'll see down here additional audio and video format support, and FFmpeg, which is standard. It's used in many video players like VLC. This one has not been installed. It's missing, and it needs these two programs here which come with the package. So what you can do is download those. You can put your own location. I'm just going to put it here in the standard place in Windows. You can reset to whatever the new location is. Every time you upgrade DOTE, you'll have to redo this unless you set your own manual path separately from the Windows folders or the Mac folders. If I say download, I'm going to do that now. You'll see it's downloading. You should see a bar telling you progress, and it's done. Now those two are installed, and that means it can then generate waveforms for many more types of video. But the issue is that you can't just include any old video that you've taken straight off the camera, because many formats are proprietary to cameras, especially for 360 cameras or GoPros. So if you just try to take the raw data from the camera, it's just not going to work. You're going to have to export it as usually MP4 is preferred format. And a standard format of MP4, but there are so many different codecs and variations of MP4 that they're not always accessible to DOTE. So we've done that. Now you could try again. If we go to Media Manager, you'll see off here, if I just expand and just adjust these a little bit here, There's the boundary. You'll see it says regenerate waveform cache. So if I click that, that may work now. But some files, even that won't work. So let's just try that. It was very quick, I think. Yeah, it's very quick because it's such a tiny file. You just didn't see. If it's a longer file, you'll see a waveform being generated. And if we close, that didn't work. Now for some files, adding FFmpeg, it will work. But for this file, which is deliberately not going to work, it's going to fail with both methods. Then you might have to do something extra to DOTE because the format is just not accessible to FFmpeg or DOTE. And the thing to do is use Handbrake. And what I have here is the software for Handbrake open. And Handbrake is open source. It's secure. You should be able to download it for Mac or Windows. And what you can do is just drop the file that's the problem in here and export it with a standard format as an MP4 or in the same format MP4 if it's still not working, and it should work. So we're going to try that now. I'm going to drag, this is the file that I was working with. So this is the file that should be working. And what you can see here, it's got a lot of controls and everything. All you're concerned about is start encode and choosing a format in the preset here. And it says MP4 format to export. That's all you need to know. So what we could do is take a look and say, well, we want a fast format at 1080p. That's pretty okay because this is 1080p and it is 30 frames a second. A better thing maybe to choose is to go down to Vimeo YouTube and choose one of these. So say this one here, and if you just mouse over and hover over, it will tell you more information. And this is a 1080p. It's YouTube, high quality. These ones are pretty standard for depending on the size. It might be you want to reduce the quality so that DOTE can manage with your computer, because if you have lots of videos in your project and in your transcript, it might not work if they're very, very high quality. So let's just take this one here, and now we'll export. And I'm going to start encode this one, and you'll see when I start, it'll show progress down here at the bottom. And that's it, it's done. So now what we can do now is go back and go to Media Manager. I'm going to delete this one. So if it's active and I've selected it here, I'm going to say delete that one because that one didn't work. I'm going to add, and what we should find, let's have to find where it is. Here it is. I'm going to put this one into that location that we just saw. There we are. So that's the file that was exported. I'm going to choose that one. Notice it's M4V, which is another MP4 extension. And then open that one and close. And there you see we have a waveform now. And this can work if you don't have a video, that the video is just not showing at all, as well as the waveform. Then if you do a transcode using Handbrake, which is free software, then it should work as long as you do it to a standard format. So there, we've solved that problem. So stepwise, what you should do is just try in the normal DOTE. If that doesn't work, make sure you have FFmpeg and FFprobe installed. Go to settings to do that. If that doesn't work, then you may have to transcode into a format which is acceptable, and then it should work as you just saw. So that's some tip there about how to make sure you can get your video and audio data into DOTE in the first place. But please be aware that you can't just import any old raw format from a camera, because these raw formats are often proprietary, and it's actually illegal for free software to have decoders for those. Like FFmpeg, for example, cannot make a decoder because it's not open source codec. So please give that a go, and hopefully that works. If you still have problems, then contact us and we can try and figure out what's going wrong. Maybe with a special format you're using, or it's just not working with Handbrake. That's all on this tip.